welcome. This is Hot Edition. We're live from User Bata Desawe Kanda, also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. I am Alfred Akrofi this evening. Calls intensifying for long-term solution to Accra's perennial flooding as death toll from Sunday's devastation rises to 4. Meanwhile, the remains of a 4-year-old girl swept away by the flood waters currently has been recovered and buried in line with Islamic custom. We've got details for you here on Hot Edition. The Ghana Meteorological Agency is predicting a storm later today. So please, if you're listening to us, that's information coming through from the Ghana Meteorological Agency. There's a storm expected later this evening. So stay with us. Also, we'll give you some details of that. The Accra Metropolitan Assembly vows to sustain its crackdown on trading activities at unauthorized spaces within the Greater Accra region and the Accra Business District as it begins decongestion exercise. University of Ghana UTAC chapter calls out the Auditor General over what they describe as an ethical audit report on payroll verification, and they're demanding his resignation. Stay with us here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Your thoughts, views, comments, and opinions are welcome. And Boko Central Member of Parliament, the Majority Leader Mama Yarega, has condemned the gruesome killing of the Bongo National Insurance Health Authority Director. Stay with us. This is the latest coming through from the area. We'll give you some updates. Also in court today, Professor Amiawe Konfi fails to appear in court over medical emergency on this Sky Train scandal. Stay with us. We've got details for you and the latest in the world of business and sports over the next 1 hour 30 minutes. For now, let's settle for a summary of the news, and Christabel, success is here.
Thank you, Alfred. And tonight we start on a very sad note where the body of the 4-year-old girl who got missing after the Sunday floods has been found. Well, she's, however, confirmed dead. She was buried today in accordance with Islamic traditions. May her soul rest in peace. A former chief executive officer of the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, Solomon Asamoah, has not been able to meet the bail conditions set by the Accra High Court, hearing the case in which he has been accused, with one other, of causing financial loss of $2 million in the Sky Train project. The Togolese national accused of masterminding high-profile robberies in Accra is to undergo medical examination. This follows the accused person's abnormal behavior of consuming excreta, according to the prosecution. He is said to be consuming his own excretion while in custody. Adinda Atbo Abdul Mujdibu, aka Maxwell, was arrested from his hideout in Togo following a collaboration between the Ghana Police Service and the Togolese police. The Western Central Regional Police Command has arrested 13 individuals for engaging in illegal mining activities, commonly known as galamsey, at Wasajapa in the Western region. As part of an anti-galamsey operation in the Western region, the police conducted a raid on May 19, during which they disabled over 120 shangfangs machines which were being used for illegal mining operations. And to our last story, Nana Apia Mensah, popularly known as Nam1, has suffered a fresh legal blow after the Court of Appeal on Monday, May 19th, dismissed his attempt to stop the ongoing criminal proceedings against him. The court threw out an application jointly filed by Nam1 and his companies, Men's Gold Ghana Limited and Brew Marketing Consult, seeking a stay of proceedings in a criminal case that includes 39 charges. The charges range from unlicensed gold trading and illegal deposit taking to defrauding investors and laundering over 340 million Ghana cedis. Nam1's lawyers had asked the appellate court to pause the trial until an appeal against a high court ruling directing him to present his defense was heard and determined. And that's how we end the summaries for today.
First of all, thank you. That's more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Hot Edition. We're live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and also on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. And we're getting some rather troubling news right now, and we'll get some updates to it. The Majority Leader in Parliament, Mama Yarega, has condemned the gruesome killing of an official of the National Health Insurance Authority in the Upper East region. There's a a press release from the Boko Central and Majority Leader Mama Yarga criticized the perpetrators of the dastardly act and called for swift justice to restore order in the region. He shared condolences with the family of the deceased and entreated law enforcement agencies to thoroughly investigate and apprehend the perpetrators of this dastardly act. So we'll get back to this here on Hot Edition, but the remains of the 4-year-old victim of Sunday's flooding at Nanakrom in the Adenta municipality has been buried after it was retrieved earlier today. The girl was swept away by strong currents in an attempt to move to a safer location during the rainstorm. According to a National Disaster Management Organization update, 4 persons have now lost their lives to the floods as a result of the rains on Sunday. Deputy Director General in charge of Protocol and Relief at NADMO, Samuel Abuaji, who confirmed the casualty, also disclosed that over 3,000 persons have been displaced as a result of the floods. He spoke to Helen Ampiampofo earlier today on Sunrise.
Right. So we have the operations team out there still rescuing and trying to evacuate. They are still assessing the situation, and whilst doing the assessment, they are trying to register victims to give us as an organization who deserves what and who deserves what. So they are still assessing the situation and registering the victims. So there's been a reported 1 person dead at Abokovi, and 3 other persons reported dead at Adenta so far. Well, so NADMO works with certain organizations, the Ghana Meteorological Agency. We had signals that we are going to experience more rains than usual. So we invited all our regional directors to get us prepared for this. And with the help of Ghana Hydrological Service, we also knew or identified areas that are flood-prone areas. So NADMO as an organization, we were ready for this. We identified areas that are likely to be flooded, and we started doing the education using our platforms, various social media platforms. In the past weeks, you realized that the Director General has been on your show and other TV and radio stations just to give the alert and educate the citizens on what is ahead of us. So NADMO has been doing our best to get the people ready, and also as an organization, get our internal, get our people ready for what is ahead of us. So in the last 48 hours, we've received a lot of calls. Out of the 16 regions, I think most of the calls came from Central, Ashanti region, and Greater Accra. But it's like everybody is talking about the disaster in Accra. We've tried to educate as much as we can, and NADMO as an organization, we are doing our best with our partner agencies.
Right. Now, are you able to put a number to persons who have been displaced by the rains? And can you provide an update on their current status? What is the support being provided to such persons?
Currently, we have over 3,000 residents that are displaced. When this happens, NADMO as an organization, we identify safe havens. And in collaboration with our partner agents, we try to coordinate residents to these safe havens. As I told you, the operations team is out there doing assessments. So after assessment, we'll be able to conclude on who is deserved this amount of relief items.
Okay, so once the safe havens have been identified, then you can begin to, is it allocate such persons to the various safe havens?
Right.
Okay. Are there ones that are currently identified, let's say safe havens that are staples, so they're always available in case of such emergencies? And how many do we have?
Mostly we use schools that are not in use, churches, town halls, those big and large areas that can accommodate a lot of people. So mostly that's what we use within the community. But I think the Director General is trying to introduce an initiative which I won't jump the gun, but I know with the appropriate time he's going to address some of these things. We are trying to introduce a prefab structures that if such incidents happened, we can, within the matter of 24 hours, set up some prefab structures to affected victims. So NADMO is working with the district assemblies.
So you just heard there the Deputy Director General in charge of Protocol and Relief at NADMO, Samuel Abuaje, in that interaction with my colleague Helena Piampo for earlier today. Bright Tapedo is assemblyman for Nana Chrome, is joining us on the telephone right now. Tapedo, good evening.
Good evening.
First off, just a bit more detail on an update on this 4-year-old who, as of yesterday, we had reported that she was missing. We understand her body has been retrieved and buried in accordance with Islamic tradition. Have you been in touch with the family?
Yes, please. So this morning, actually, I once again went to the house to sympathize with her experience, and I was informed that the dad was also reassessed for the body.
Zabado, I can hardly hear you. If you could speak up a bit for me, please.
So just when I was in the house to sympathize again with the parents, but when I got there, I realized that they said the dad had gone out to search for the body again. But around 9-10 thereabouts, we had information that the body has been found just right close to the body. As you earlier said on, yes, Islamic religion permits them to bury the body immediately the person is dead. So they've done all the right, and then they've gone to bury the body at the Gina cemetery.
I see. And so what other interventions is that's the Assembly and NADMO putting in place to...
the Assembly NADMO coordinator was there, the director was there, everybody was there, the Ghana Police Service, and then other opinion leaders were all there to also ascertain and then take reports of what had happened. At the moment, NADMO, the team of NADMO are also in the area community taking records of all the victims that have been affected by the flood. And I believe that they'll be coming back to some relief items for them, because after Sunday to Monday, most people have not eaten. And everybody is also trying to clean up his or her building and the room. And that is what has been going on at the moment.
You're saying most people haven't eaten?
Yes, please.
Okay, so do you have relief, the food for them, relief items?
There are no relief items for them as we speak right now. And wherever you go to, they are asking when it's not more bringing them something to eat, when it's not more bringing them mattresses to sleep on, because everything has been actually added. The rooms, everything.
There are no relief items 48 hours after this disaster?
48 hours after this disaster, no relief items.
But for the Assembly, I know that you also have some allocations for some development like this. So for you, as you're waiting for NADMO to bring the relief items, what is the Assembly doing?
So for the first, I think the second day, which was the Monday, the MP and then the MC has been moving around trying to gather things to back for where exactly the incident happened. We've not heard anything as of now. NADMO was in this morning
Yesterday, when we spoke to some of the residents, one of them indicated that there is a particular building being constructed in the waterway in the area. The person is filling up the land, that particular portion, which is a waterway, filling it up and constructing a building there. Are you aware of this?
So apparently, I think the first rain that fell in this year caused a little bit of flood. So we were able to, the MP and myself and other opinion leaders were able to move around the community, and we spotted that project going on. So we reported the issue to the assembly, the works, and then the engineer, and then the national department, which they said will be taking a look, and then will get back to us. So we're also waiting on that report to see how best we can find solutions to that. Because apparently they have built on the, waterway, and water is something we can't prevent it from moving. When it starts, it has to pave way for itself.
Certainly, and this matter of building in the waterways is one that is always the case every year, that one of the major causes of the flooding. So as an assembly, are you going to do an expanded assessment of these buildings and waterways within the area, Nana Chrome and everywhere else?
In actual fact, Nana Chrome is more of like a water-logged area, a red zone. But one thing that has not been taken into consideration is the permit given to builders when they are building. That is what we need as an assembly, we need to look at and then rectify. Because most people are building along the water bank without permit. And I believe that after this incident, the assembly will look at it and then will find ways to put measures in place drastically.
I see. Are you going to demolish buildings if needed?
I believe that will be in the hands of the engineers of the assembly, and especially the region and the national, the regional minister and then the national director.
And quickly, the other bit about the indiscriminate disposal of refuse in the area as well. We visited the place. In fact, if our listeners can go on our Facebook page at 3FM927, we're showing drains that have been choked. Some drains are also so small and so cannot contain the volumes of the water. So are you aware of this? If you are aware, what have you done about it?
The municipal environmental health department is working seriously to kind of minimize the amount of rubbish that is going into the the gutters. One challenge we have is the rubbish collected. They don't usually come frequently. So most of the time we realize that when it rains, the people begin to rush and then put their waste into the gutters. And this abobo here also that comes by and other things, is like their charge is also more of, it's very high for people. So these are things that we need to look at, getting frequent and regular rubbish company that can help in collecting all this rubbish. But we've seen the issues. Our special environmental people are working along it, and they are helping, but it's not enough. So we need a lot of resources to ensure that these things are being minimized.
Well, we'll visit your area again and to assess the situation to ensure that what you are telling us is done. Okay? Thank you very much. That's Bright Afedo. He is assemblyman for Nana Chrome, joining us on. There's going to be some more details on what's happening right now. Let's go to some stories. The Ghana Meteorological Agency, what are they saying to us, Chrisabel?
Well, the Accra Meanwhile, the Ghana Meteorological Agency has issued a weather alert warning of thunderstorms and varying intensities of rain across parts of the country later today. Well, according to the forecast, southern Ghana will experience mostly cloudy conditions with intermittent sunny spells in the afternoon, while the northern regions will remain predominantly sunny. However, from late afternoon into the evening, thunderstorms and rain are expected to hit parts of the coastal, mid-belt, transition zones and northern sectors. This alert follows devastating weekend floods that claimed lives and destroyed property in parts of Accra.
And let's go on to the telephone now. And Mr. Joshua Ansah is a meteorologist, a senior meteorologist. Joshua Asamoah is a senior meteorologist at the Ghana Meteorological Agency. Mr. Asamoah, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Alfred. Thanks for having me.
First of all, let's establish this. How many millimeters of rain did we experience on Sunday, that 5-hour rain that's caused this havoc as we speak?
Well, it was quite varying. Around the airport, we had about 32 millimeters. That's Kotoka International Airport, our station there, recorded around 32 millimeters. But if you move away from there, it was a bit higher. Had close to about 89 millimeters in other parts of Accra. So the lowest we saw was around 30, and then the highest was close to 90 millimeters. So between 30 and 90 millimeters of rainfall for Greater Accra region.
Between 30 and 90 millimeters of rain?
Yes, 30 and 90. Yeah.
I see. And what's the forecast like for, going into the peak of the rainy season? Because I understand the peak starts from next month, the month of June, correct?
Yes, so this is basically a transition into the peak. So we are basically in the period of the peak rainfall for southern Ghana. So rains are a bit more frequent around this time, and then in the month of June as well. July, then they will start subsiding, and then we'll go into the little dry season before the minor rainy season.
And if we are not in the peak of the rainy season and we are experiencing 90 millimeters of rain, how would the peak of the rainy season look like?
Well, so the peak is used to describe when the rains become actually more frequent. And so it's not really about the amount. Even during the onset of the rainy season, somewhere in March, we get very heavy rainfall. Amounts can be very high around that time, but then the occurrence is a bit less. But in the peak of the rainy season, we get more rainfall, as in rainy day, compared to when you are at the onset of the rainy season. But the amount does not really matter whether you're in the peak or the onset. It can be higher even in the onset than the peak of the rainy season.
I see. And we're getting information that based on the latest forecast you put out there, there's a weather alert, a weather warning alert of thunderstorm activity with varying intensity of rain across parts of the country later today. Give us a bit more detail.
Yes, as we speak, it's raining in the eastern border of Ghana. So from the northern region stretching all the way to the Volta region, there's a storm that has already engulfed this area, producing varying intensity of rain. It has some thunder, lightning as well, and occasionally some gusty conditions are expected within these areas. So if you are within the northern region, Oti region, that's around Nkwanta, Kitikrachi, going into Yezi, Salaga, Chatale. Then if you move slightly south, Popoi areas towards Ho areas, there should be experiencing rain. If you're not already experiencing rain in this region, you should at least see signs of rain close to you. So that's where the storm is. A separate one is also developing around the Upper East region, so Boko areas going into Bolga, and then stretching into the Upper West region. They're also seeing similar conditions there. Thunder strikes are already there. Some areas are already experiencing the rain. We are expecting that tonight these conditions should drift to the western part and affect areas around Savannah, the Ashanti, Eastern region, Upper West, and then the rest of the northern sector that have not yet experienced these conditions. So for most places in the middle belt of Ghana and the northern portions of Ghana, we should experience some moderate to heavy rainfall with occasional gusty winds. For us along the coast, the inland parts of the coast have the highest probability of getting some rainfall, but very close to the coastline, there's a chance of rain, but then the chance is a bit lower, and the impact that the rain will have on us is also a bit lower. So within the Greater Accra, Central, and Western regions, we expect that the inland parts should be getting the moderate to heavy rainfall, whilst the extreme coastal parts get slight to moderate rainfall.
I see. And so what would be your advice, some precautionary measure for the general public listening to us right now, going into this evening and the rest of the week?
For people who live within the Volta, Eastern, Ashanti, Oti regions, going into the northern portion, the magnitude of the rain that we are anticipating this evening is a bit high. And so for people in these areas, we want to take some precautionary measures. If you live in a low-lying area, an area that is known for floods, we do want to look for alternatives, probably an area where you could be safe and stay for the time when the event is occurring. Then after that, you probably return to your area, just as a safety precaution. It does not mean that everyone is going to flood, though, because the conditions in these areas are not like what we see in Accra. But for people who live in Accra, even though we are not expecting so much heavy rainfall to be experienced in the greater Accra region, because we've seen some rainfall in the past few days, just some lesser amount of rainfall can also lead to some higher impact. And so if you see signs of rainfall, it's best that you stay where you are, get a shelter, stay in a steady structure, wait for the event to occur, see before you step out and go to where you want to go. And we shouldn't be rushing to go home and be walking through flooded waters, because we probably may find ourselves in a problem that we have not anticipated for. So basically, that's what we are anticipating for Muslims in the country.
Joshua, appreciate you for this. Thank you so much. Joshua Asamoah is a senior meteorologist at the Ghana Meteorological Agency, giving us updates in there. So that's information. If you're listening to us right now from the Ghana Meteorological Agency, they've issued a weather warning of thunderstorm and varying intensities of rain across parts of the country going into the evening. And already some areas have started experiencing rainfall as we speak. We'll shift into the decongestion exercise by the Ghana Accra Metropolitan Assembly, which started earlier today. What's going on?
Well, the exercise, according to the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, is aimed at removing street traders from the central business district. Pavement structures and petty traders obstructing pedestrian access and traffic flow have been cleared, allowing for easier movement through the market areas for the first time in years. The mayor has indicated that the exercise will last for approximately 2 weeks, with people deployed to maintain order and ensure the sustainability of this renewed effort. Let's hear from the mayor of Accra, Michael Mapu Aluti.
For the first time, I'm bringing young men and women. I'm giving them employment. I'm going to run a 24-hour. So we are not sleeping. We are working every day. People work in the night. They don't have people to take tickets from them, to guide them. They are petty thieves. But this task force and these revenue collectors will be here. If maybe 6 hours, they're going to run shifts. Like how is it going to run a 24-hour economy?
So for how long is this going to take today? Where are we going to?
For me, we are going to Circle.
Okay.
But from Circle, we'll go to Carnation. Okay. This is 2 weeks program.
Well, some of the traders have been speaking to Safwa Boahene.
What you announced here? What?
I would like to interact with this man.
T-shirts.
Kantamanto has said. Now, I don't want to say me on the case and then be exercise we are.
Okay, okay, you know, time what about it. If you know about it yesterday.
And now, when we say me on exercise, this is not the first time. Saying a feeling it.
Yeah, fine, pa, feeling you good, pa.
For the mayor and so.
Me first bebre. Now we see for now free on Coco Bodo bar. Unya kwa kra na wetia because my say do my chekwan mu mienu and on my farm. And you see our bar we see for so say that why neat.
Why you near man?
Yeah, dear.
Now so come on no so dey back one.
Yeah, can be near the any page.
How is the feeling today that you have met the mayor and the task force embarking on this exercise?
We are very interested. He's working well. We lack somebody like this in this country. We need to encourage those people in the street where they are selling. They need to give the way so that the country will be successful. Everything will be made nicely. Because, in fact, the mess is too much.
Saying a feeling next year.
Oh, but you're good, pa. Emma, at a 4, empty me by and chair, but all the
first, no, not said your heart and uncle phone to me, right?
Excellent traffic is see. I must see quine in your my baby. Ever has say.
Commission about a man of Pamoma in maybe on Beko. And Taban provide the baby now on for Monco.
So some of the traders in there, and already this exercise is getting some support as well, and then others raising concern about it. But then again, here's what we do know: the president of the Greater Accra Market Association, Gama, Mercina Afrowa Nijan, has declared strong support for the Accra Metropolitan Assembly's ongoing decongestion campaign in the Central Business District, describing it as, quote, a good agenda that deserves collective backing from traders. Well, this is not the first time we've been on this path of decongesting the Central Business District. In fact, we've chronicled all mayors in time past who have tried to do this. And the man with our research desk here at Media General, Wisdom Safo, is with all the data. Wisdom, how's it been over the period?
Okay, so Alfred, every government since the Fourth Republic have undertaken some of these decongestion exercise. It dates back to 1991 when Jerry John Rawlings, the late president, started this exercise, and it was actually targeted at the people of Agbogbloshie at that time. You know, Alfred, I call this Central Business District the Wall Street of Ghana. You know, it is home to about 60,000 traders, and some of the hawkers actually is estimated around 15,000. That forms about around 25% of the people that trade in these areas, and most of them have dependents. So there has been concerns raised about alternative places or alternative livelihood for these people, because that's where they draw their livelihood from. And so let's go back to the chronology. So as I rightly mentioned, Jerry John Rawlings started in 1991 up to 1993, targeted at Agbogbloshie, and the people that were involved, affected people, were the yam market traders way back then. So the reason why it was done was purposely for easing pressure on the public walkways and to improve hygiene as well. And fast forward February 2005, President Kufuor also with the help of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, also targeted the Makola and the Osu Oxford Street and Tudu. And actually the people who were involved in this was the informal street vendors. And the major reason why this was conducted by Kufuor then was to clear clutters from footpaths and roads, and to bring sanity to the capital. 2007, we experienced another decongestion exercise under Mayor Neil Okain. Yes. So he also targeted the Central Business District and some informal markets. He actually targeted the hawkers, and he actually relocated them to the Odona market. But the major reason for the 2007 decongestion exercise was to beautify the city, actually ahead of the Ghana at 50. At that time, remember, we were celebrating our 50 years of independence, and that was the major reason why this decongestion exercise was implemented then. So it goes on and on.
The late Jacob Echebi was in charge of that.
Yes, you remember. Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Beautification of the capital. Anyway.
So it goes on and on. June to July 2009. Pre-Obama visits. So before President Barack Obama of the USA visited Ghana in 2009, there was a beautification exercise. So that one, they targeted the Sprinters Road, Osu Oxford Street, the Circle, Rollins Park, and some street vendors, including some stores, were also touched. They burned some stores just to beautify the city for the welcoming of President Obama. We fast forward December 2009 to April 2010. Remember, Mayor Van der Poy, under the NDC, he also targeted the Tudu, Makola, Rollins Park. So the list goes on and on. It's a lot. So in all, I can count about 10 decongestion exercise. The latest one was in 2022. Before this one, the one that's just happened today, today, the latest one was in July 2022 under Mayor Elizabeth Saki of the NPP, who actually had a 31st Makola Street market share development project, and he actually displayed some of the hawkers, and the major reason why she undertook this decongestion exercise was to provide permanent stores and ease congestion with infrastructure. Well, it was non-punitive like the others, but there has been concerns raised about reasons why we keep going back to this. It seems like if you do it by 2 or 3 years, they will come back and we have to decongest them again. So some of the reasons, the research does actually delve deeper into some of the reasons why this has continued and becoming a perennial problem. So the first thing we noted was that there was no relocation infrastructure alternative market for these people. As I said already, these people actually, their life depends on whatever they do there. And if you sack them or if you try to decongest them from the central business district, you have to also find alternative markets for these people. And one thing that we noted was that we've realized that before elections, they don't do any decongestion exercise. They normally do it maybe at the first term or the second term because they fear that, maybe they'll lose votes. They will wait. After they win elections, then they start the decongestion exercise. So, Alfred, it's multifaceted. There are a lot of work that needs to be put in so that we find a long-term contingency solution for all this.
It's a very important point to make, and Wisdom, appreciate you for this. And let's stay a bit further on the sustainability question that you ask and get some extensive background to this in spatial planning. Dr. Josiah Koba. Dr. Josiah Koba is also a private legal practitioner and he has extensive knowledge in spatial planning. He's joining us on the telephone right now. Dr. Josiah Koba, good evening.
Good evening.
Now, first off, I mean, you've monitored how this decongestion, the latest of a number of them as Wisdom has run through it, is happening as of this morning till this moment as we're speaking. How does all of this strike you? Is it one that has taken the kind of approach that guarantees sustainability in terms of the results that the traders themselves are commending, that now they have a place to walk and to get customers to approach their businesses?
Because, I caught the last part of the submission from the earlier contributor, the speaker. And I think what I heard was that this is not the first time.
Indeed.
We've seen successive city governments trying to do relocation and decongestion, over the years. And interestingly, this morning when I heard the mayor talk about what they're trying to do, he kept saying that this is not going to be a 9-day wonder. And it's interesting because it shows that we have a sense that we don't have our thumb on the, we don't have a finger on what really we need to do to deal with this issue. My own opinion, my bent on this is just that to begin with, we have to recognize that urban informal workers are part of the economic, social, and cultural ecosystem of the city. In a place like Ghana, really, the last time I checked, in Accra, some statistics here, 83% of workers in Accra are in the informal sector. Greater Accra, 87% of women working in Accra and Greater Accra are in the informal sector, and 79% of men. As I said, 83% of the total employment in Greater Accra is in the informal sector. In Accra, we are looking at, this is about back in 2019, where we had about a total of 1,312,378 people working in the informal sector. So this is, I have an interest in the informal sector. I did my PhD dissertation on the informal sector in Accra. So we really need to pay attention to some fundamentals before we deal with solutions. So we have to recognize, first of all, the informal sector it's part of the ecosystem.
Right, and I asked a question about the sustainability of this entire exercise, because we've seen this done before. So what has to be done differently this time around?
Because I think that this will be sustainable, depending on what we do with them. We can just drive them away, but they will come back. So we need to provide an accessible source of income for them. We have to make sure that they can continue to be economically active. Just driving them away will not solve the problem. So in other parts of the world, we have solutions like night markets. Selecting, for example, the night market solution like taking some enclaves within the city center and making them a pedestrian-only area where hawkers and traders can freely trade. We could have areas that are have regulated flea markets. So we need to come up with innovative ways to make sure that they will remain economically active.
Right.
Is the solution. By just decongesting, bringing the law enforcement people and driving them away, they will be back.
Certainly.
If we don't do that.
Absolutely.
Now, one of the things that I want to point out is that these solutions that I'm talking about are only sustainable if you involve them in the planning process. There are organizations, like in Monrovia, we need to organize them, register them, let them have a voice. The city budget should have a budget line
for them
on dealing with these solutions.
Right.
Otherwise, it will be a 9-day wonder.
Right.
I know.
And it's a very, very important point you make, and about what has to be done going forward. Ms. Akra, I appreciate you for your I thank you so much for your thoughts on this one, sharing your thoughts with us about what the way forward will be, and then also the recommendations that he has made as well in that regard to ensure this doesn't happen again. Dr. Josiah Koba there. He's a special planner and a private legal practitioner. This is Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale. We're live on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Your thoughts, views, comments, and opinions are welcome at 3FM 927. Christabel.
Well, let's move to other stories. And Professor Christopher Ameyawe Ocansey, former board chair of the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, was rushed to the hospital this morning, causing him to miss court for the second consecutive time in the ongoing Sky Train trial. Professor Ameyawe Ocansey's standing trial alongside the former chief executive of the fund, Solomon Asamoah, on charges of willfully causing financial loss to the state. The two are accused of authorizing the transfer of $2 million in public funds to Africa Investor Holdings for the proposed SkyTrain project, despite no work being done to justify the payment. During today's proceedings, Duke Aaron Sasu, the lawyer for Professor Ameyawe Ocansey, informed the court that his client had been rushed to the hospital earlier in the morning. This marks the second time Professor Ameyawe Ocansey has failed to appear in court. He was also absent on May 13th when the case was first heard, with his legal team citing health issues as the reason. When the case was called today, Sasu requested a brief adjournment, asking the court and the prosecution for time to produce the former board chair by Friday, May 23, so his plea could be taken. The presiding judge, appearing surprised by the development, remarks that it seemed Professor Ameyawe Kumfi was always ill on the day of his court hearings. Deputy Attorney General Dr. Justice Sremsai agreed with the judge's observation, but stated that the prosecution would wait until Friday for the defense to present the accused. Justice Tasiame subsequently adjourned the case to Monday, May 26.
Well, we'll keep an eye on this and then also be updating our listeners on this one here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. And let's move away from that. And in fact, even before we get into the matters of the Togolese national who has been accused of masterminding high-profile robberies, we're also just getting some information that the former CEO of the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, Solomon Asamoah, who is the first accused in the ongoing SkyTrain case, remains in custody after failing to meet bail conditions imposed a week ago. Mr. Asamoah is standing trial alongside the former board chair of the fund, Professor Christopher Ameyawe Kumfi, on charges of willfully causing financial loss to the state and dissipation of public funds. The two are accused of authorizing the transfer of the $2 million in public funds from JIF accounts to Africa Investor Holdings, a company contracted to build and operate the proposed SkyTrain project. So that's information we're having right now. The former JIF CEO is still in custody because has been unable to meet the bail conditions imposed on him about a week ago. From that to the latest on this Togolese national, what do we know?
Well, this Togolese national is accused of masterminding high-profile robberies in Accra. He is to undergo medical examination. This follows the accused person's abnormal behavior of consuming excreta, according to the prosecution. He's said to be consuming his own excretion while in custody. Adinda Atbo Abdu Mudjibu, aka Maxwell, was arrested from his hideout in Togo following a collaboration between the Ghana Police Service and the Togolese police. He was arraigned today, May 20th, on charges of robbery for the alleged offenses he committed between 2022 and 2024. He is said to have stolen $200,000, a gold wrist chain, valued at 20,000 Ghana cedis, gold necklace valued at 18,000 Ghana cedis, assaulted jewelry including gold earrings, brooches, etc., valued at 5,000 Ghana cedis, and a registered CZ 7.5 pistol in a robbery spree. The prosecution, led by ASP Amoah Richard, informed the court that the accused person had been exhibiting unusual behavior to the extent of consuming his own excrement. As a result, the accused has been remanded into the custody of the National Intelligence Bureau, NIB, to enable him undergo assessment. His accomplice, Mazouk Alidu, has been charged with abetment to commit robbery. Alfred.
It's live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Some 10 minutes top of the hour, 6 p.m. We're live on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale and on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. And now, away from that, the officials of the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, they've justified the felling of mahogany trees on the Kwabenya-Hacho Highway. The commission, with express approval from the Forestry Commission and with police protection, began felling the trees, which they say poses a threat to road users and electricity lines. The exercise angered some environmentalists who demanded it be halted. My colleague Christian Yale earlier this afternoon engaged the Director of Commercialization and Communication at the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, Nana Boating, on their decision to fell these trees, which has angered some environmentalists earlier today, and what they intend to do going forward. Take a listen to him.
So talk to us. Why are you embarking on this exercise?
All right. So you realize that when you're using the corridor, right from Hacho to the atomic roundabout, we have these huge trees. These trees are deep-rooted trees, and they've been existent for over 50 years plus. Okay. Last year, when there was a thunderstorm, we had about 2 of the trees uprooting and then fall onto the main road. So you realize that some of them are becoming a danger to the public, especially for the vehicles that are passing. And so Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, with it other stakeholders like the Ghana Police, like the Forestry Commission, like ECG, have come together, and even with the Municipal Assembly, Ghana East Municipal Assembly, somewhere last year had conversations about what could be done. And so with the guidance of the Forestry Commission, some trees were earmarked or marked for removal. It's not just removal, but it will be replaced with less harmful trees, so that these trees, as beautiful as they are, do not become a danger to the general public. So it's a reason why you've seen us working on this. We are not working alone. We are working with the Forestry Commission. They are the experts with this ones. Even with the trees we are talking about replacing, they are the ones providing us with the trees to replace. Aside that too, aside being a danger to the general public, some of the trees are also affecting ECG's lines, the pylons. So ECG themselves also, in partnership with us and the Forestry Commission, have also earmarked some of the trees that are being a danger to the ECG lines. And those ones as well too have to be removed and replaced with less danger ones. This is the reason why we are doing this. And so the Ghana Police Service is also helping us to help with the direction of the traffic and of the pedestrian, the drivers who be using the road today.
Okay, so that is clear and understood. So, per what the statement you shared earlier, we know that about 8 mahogany trees will be fell, as well as 6 lucina, and then you are pruning others. What went into the demarcation for these, and then the numbers involved?
So, like I rightly told you, the Forestry Commission, they are experts in this kind of situation. And nobody can cut any tree down here and then in Ghana without the permission of the Forestry Commission. So the Forestry Commission has given permission for these trees to be felled, and they have identified the ones that are posing danger to the general public. And so that's how come we came with those specific numbers. So we realize not all the trees. We have a lot of trees. There are more than the numbers that you are mentioning. But the ones that are posing danger to the general public and to drivers who are passing. And we started the rainy season, and the storms are definitely going to come. And you do not want surprises. And so we have to do the right thing.
Environmental advocacy groups like Arocha Ghana, who are concerned about the environment, are questioning this. They say it is a deliberate attempt to, erode this green corridor of its status, which would affect the environment in the long run. How do you respond to some of those things? They even mentioned or raised an issue about replacement of the trees, which you have mentioned, but to tackle their concern really about how you are going to affect that green corridor. What do you say about that?
So you rightly know that the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission has no interest in deforestation or cutting down trees, not at all. If you come into our environment here, if I'm not mistaken, with the whole Ghana East, we are the most green area. And if you look at our office space here, you can see beautiful trees and plants. Aside that, we are also researchers, and we research into trees and plants as well. And so our interest is to continue to green our environment and protect our environment. We are climate advocates. We are also environmental advocates. And so this does not fall within our interest at all. Our interest rather is to protect the environment and to save the climate. Yes. So I think they've gotten it wrong. We'll try and reach out to them to explain things to them so they understand that this is about life and death.
But for instance, they make an example that somewhere last year, 2 of these trees were felled to pave way for the construction of a filling station or a fuel station, which they are questioning even the reasoning behind that, for instance.
Okay, so the area around the filling station does not belong to Ghana Atomic Energy Commission. It's a private property. So I advise that you have to speak to the private owners onto the reason why. But I would assume that probably because of their filling station business. But like I said, that space does not belong to Ghana Atomic Energy Commission.
So maybe I may not have asked a particular question, but what do you have to say as we wrap up the conversation on this whole exercise that is being embarked on? You say you have replacement plans to replace the trees that are going to be felled with other ones provided by the Forestry Commission. Any additional information?
Yes, so Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, like I rightly said, we are environmental protection advocates. We belong to the ministry. We belong to the ministry that is protecting our environment, which is MEST. And so we will not do anything to harm our environment. Of course, we are also climate advocates. where we are advocating and educating the general public to desist from carbonizing the environment so that we can protect our climate zone. And so this issue that is happening rather is in the interest of the general public to protect lives and not to degrade the environment.
That's my colleague Christian Yale in that interaction earlier today. Also live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and on W 93.5 in YB. Stay with us. We're back with the business news. Bismarck Ewusa is standing by.
Alone, we can only go so far. But when we move together, there is no limits to where we can go. Together, we move with joy. We move to our own beats. We move with the natural goodness of Malta Guinness. A feel-good refreshment with vitamin B1, B2, B3, B5, and B6. Grab a bottle of Malta Guinness now and feel the vim. Malta Guinness, we move.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the business segment on Hot Edition with me, Bismarck Ewusa. Coming up tonight, former Finance Minister Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam slams government over recent increase in growth and sustainability levy.
That we should tax windfalls from mining companies by using tax handles outside the mineral agreements.
I am Bismarck Ewusa. Let's settle for the detail. Former Finance Minister Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam has criticized recent increase in the growth and sustainability levy, describing it as a disincentive for investors. The levy, initially introduced by the previous government, was raised from 1% to 3% by the current administration as part of efforts to boost revenue, particularly from the mining sector.
Mining taxation is a complex arena, and we therefore need to find ways to tackle these problems associated with the mining sector. But what is clear to me, ladies and gentlemen, is that the current approach to taxing this sector in Africa, including Ghana, creates uncertainty, which could dampen investments in the sector overall. I do not believe that we should tax windfalls from mining companies by using tax handles outside the mineral agreements, such as what we experienced with the increase in the growth and sustainability levy on mining companies. I propose instead a comprehensive fiscal regime with windfall tax features, such as resource rent taxes, to be the basis for legislative review and renegotiation of mineral agreements. This way, mining companies will incorporate these fiscal elements into their project assumption, thereby minimizing risk to investment.
And that was former Finance Minister Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam. Moving on, Tullow Ghana and partners have announced the restart of drilling operations in the Jubilee field, marking a renewed phase of investment and confidence in Ghana's energy future. The 2-year program begins this May and is expected to boost oil production and operational efficiency at one of West Africa's strategic oil fields. This new campaign follows the successful completion of Tullow's previous 4-year drilling program in December 2024, which delivered 18 new wells 6 months ahead of schedule and below budget. The earlier campaign was noted for its efficiency, safety record, and disciplined cost management. Now, despite the Ghana cedi's recent strong appreciation against the US dollar, Fitch Solutions has projected that the local currency will end 2025 at 15 cedis 50 pesos to $1, with an annual average of 15 cedis 30 pesos. The UK-based firm says record high gold prices and a lower energy import bill will support stability, but not limited or eliminate mid-year volatility. The following 3 Business News Desk report has the detail. The Ghana cedi, which has appreciated by over 17% so far this year to 13 cedis 50 pesos to $1, is forecast to end 2025 much weaker at 15 cedis 50 pesos to the dollar. Thus, according to Fitch Solutions' latest outlook. The London-based research firm says, although the Bank of Ghana will seek to maintain stability, the gains will not last the entire year. Its analysis, titled High Gold Prices Will Shield Ghanaian Economy from Tariff Fallout, highlights elevated global gold prices expected to average $3,100 per ounce in 2025 as a key support for Ghana's external position. Fitch anticipates Ghana's current account surplus will hit a record 6.9% of GDP, while foreign reserves will rise to $11.5 billion, nearly doubling from last year. These factors, it believes, will help cushion the local currency against external shocks. Nonetheless, the cedi's projected depreciation is notably higher than Absa Bank's 14 cedis end-of-year forecast. Analysts point to lingering global uncertainty, including U.S. monetary policy and geopolitical tensions, as possible triggers for renewed cedi pressures. And that was a 3 Business News Desk report on Fitch Solutions projecting the cedi to end 2025 at 15 cedis 50 pesos. Moving on, Chief Executive of the Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, Seth Chumakwabwa, says consumers could see further price reductions from local manufacturers if the cedi's recent gains are sustained. The Ghanaian cedi has appreciated by around 16% since the beginning of this year, earning the title of the world's best performing currency as of April. The appreciation has prompted parts of the business community to announce price cuts, with the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, GPRTU, confirming a reduction in transport fares effective Saturday, while noting that industries particularly require time to adjust prices in response to currency movements. Mr. Chumakwabwa revealed that some manufacturers have already lowered the cost of select commodities, a move that could offer relief to consumers in the coming weeks.
We are confident that if what we are experiencing now is sustained, naturally the prices will come down. Bear in mind, we live in a very competitive environment. Products from outside is competing with us, and products from other producers are also competing. So once you live in a competitive environment, you can't keep your price up when others are adjusting. You won't stay in the market. So naturally it will come down. And as a matter of fact, some prices have come down already. I mean, if you do a market survey, you will notice that some prices have come. Just as we mentioned that the GPRTU is asking its members to come down on their fares. The same way, some industries who maybe can accommodate immediate adjustments are doing it. I hear price of rice have even gone down a little bit. So we are not saying that wait till 2 months or 3 months before adjust, but look at your peculiar situation and where you can adjust.
And that was Chief Executive of the Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, Seth Chumakwabwa, indicating that cedi gains could drive down local prices in the coming months. And that brings us to the end of the business segment on Hot Edition with me, Bismarck Ausa. For more business stories, please check out our website, 3news.com. Thanks for your company.
The sports segment here on Hot Edition on CFM 92.7 with me, Oreku Ampofo. We start off from the Ghana Premier League, where Heart of Lions are looking to win the competition for the first time ever. Lions, who fought their way to safety last season, are on a 5-game unbeaten run, winning 4 and drawing 1. Lions' impressive form has put them 3 points of league leaders Nations FC with just 3 games to go in the Ghana Premier League season. Reflecting on his team's performances, Coach Bashir Hayford expressed his excitement with his players' performances.
Everybody knew how we struggled last season. And people thought it was a fluke because I heard, I took it upon myself there. I have to prove a point. Say, my friend, I'm we have to work on them and so that we achieve what we want to achieve. And now that is the point I want to prove. Say how people saw the team last season and thought it was a fluke for us to avoid relegation. So next season they will go. Now we are contenders for the league, which I'm very happy for that. Not even the position on the league, but the way the boys are playing. Everywhere we go, everywhere we play, people appreciate it.
That was head coach of Heart of Lions, Bashir Hayford. Let's turn our attention to Europe because the Europa League final is inching ever closer. Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur will lock horns on Wednesday in Bilbao for the opportunity to win Europe's second-tier trophy and automatically qualify for the UEFA Champions League for the 2025-2026 season. Tottenham Hotspur, remember, are still yet to win a trophy in 17 years. Ahead of the final, their head coach Ange Postecoglou says winning the Europa League is more important than qualifying for the Champions League.
As you said, great prize. You know the significance of Champions League qualification, what it means for every football club to get into the Champions League. It's there are the obvious benefits, but also you get the opportunity to play against the best in the continent. But the club's been in the Champions League before. Hasn't won a trophy for a long time, so that's the most important bit.
That was head coach of Tottenham Hotspur, Ange Postecoglou. Meanwhile, Tottenham captain Heung-min Son has emphasized the importance of the occasion to the London-based club. Tottenham were last involved in a European final in 2019 when they lost disappointingly to Liverpool. Their captain has described the moment as special and massive for the club.
Will be very special and we will be obviously history moments, but I stay here 10 years and I just wanted to win the trophy, but which is nobody done it, from where I've been here, in a 10 years time. So tomorrow is gonna be a massive day for the club first of all, and for the boys, and obviously for me as well.
To the opposing dugouts, where Manchester United head coach Ruben Amorim has admitted that winning the Europa League trophy would not overturn his side's underwhelming season, but will be a step in the right direction for the team. The Red Devils are set to finish the Premier League season with their worst ever point tally in their history.
A new future for me, I think, is not the case, but it's going to help us to finish the season. People will look at our team in a different way. Because winning a European title is really important. But again, nothing is going to change our season. Players know, everybody knows, the staff knows, the fans knows. But winning a European title can help us to have that feeling that can help us to build the future.
That was head coach of Manchester United, Ruben Amorim. But before we go, Chelsea boss Enzo Maresca says that his focus is on securing a top 4 finish despite his side being involved in a Conference League final against Real Betis. The Blues know that victory against Real Betis in the final will automatically secure a place in the Europa League. However, Chelsea are aiming for more, knowing that a finish in the top 5 in the Premier League will automatically send them to a higher tier competition for next season, and that is the Champions League.
I didn't see the player since Man United game, so I will see them today because yesterday, for a personal reason, I was not here. and then we had Saturday and Sunday off. So I will see the players today, and the focus is just in this moment just about Nottingham, and then after the final we're gonna be focused on the final.
That was Chelsea boss Enzo Maresca. But before we go, just a reminder that there's Premier League action this evening. Manchester City, after losing their FA Cup final against Crystal Palace, are quickly back in action in the Premier League against Bournemouth to play the outstanding match day 37 game. I remember that they couldn't play that due to the FA Cup commitment, and that match kicks off at 7 p.m. at the Etihad. It should be Kevin De Bruyne's farewell game as he plays his last ever match at the Etihad Stadium. He spent 10 years at the club, and he captains the team for tonight. He plays behind Erling Haaland, Omar Mamouche and Bernardo Silva, making the front four. In midfield is Kovacic and Gundogan, and it's a back four which sees Manoa Kanji replace Guardiola at the left centre-back role with Ruben Diaz. The Croatian, as a result, moves to left-back as O'Reilly drops to the bench, and Matheus Nunes returns to the team as a right-back. Ederson also takes up his spot in goal. For Bournemouth, Ghanaian attacker Semenyo also returns to the starting 11 and would be playing alongside Clive Tavernier, Ivan Nielsen, and then there's Cook Adams in midfield. It's a back four of Araujo, Zabani and Halsen, who just signed for Real Madrid, and Kekes as well. Kepa Arrizabalaga would remain in goal for Bournemouth. And then there's also the other match between Crystal Palace and Wolves. You can get updates of all of these games on our social media handles. My name is Ore Kwampofo, and that's how we wrap up the sports segment here on Hot Edition. The show continues right after this.
Welcome back. This is Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale, and on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. The University of Ghana chapter of the University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, have called for the immediate resignation of the Auditor General, Johnson Ekwamo-Asiedu, following a controversial payroll audit reform. The demand follows a special payroll verification audit released by the Auditor General's office, which claimed that the University of Ghana had overstated employee compensation of 59.2 million Ghana cedis between 2022 and 2024. However, UTAG University of Ghana strongly disputed the findings, describing the report as misleading and inaccurate. There's more in the following report.
A special payroll audit by the Auditor General recently accused the University of Ghana of inflating salary claims by 59.2 million Ghana cedis. But the university's lecturers say the bigger issue is a worrying pattern behind such reports. At a press conference on campus, UG-UTAG claimed that audit reports in recent years have become less about correcting institutional weaknesses and more about feeding political narratives. They argue that the Auditor General's office is fast becoming a tool for political manipulation.
We believe that the audit service, or auditing in general in this country, has become a tool for intimidating and disallowing legitimate payments, especially to subvented institutions in Ghana. We also want to state that the situation where auditing has been used as a tool to disallow payment of legitimate claims from subvented institutions must stop with immediate effect.
The association is also demanding the removal of the Auditor General, arguing that the office has lost the moral credibility to oversee public institutions fairly.
For the Auditor General to sit in his office and preside over such an institution that disregards ethical standards and standard practice, we are hereby calling for the resignation of the Auditor General honorably, or we will petition the President for him to be removed.
The association said while it supports accountability and transparency, it takes issue with how audit findings are released without prior engagement with affected institutions.
University of Ghana management maintains that the initial audit report was not shared with them for them to make comments and clarify any discrepancies before this was made public. This is grossly unfair and unethical. This is a serious breach of the ethical standard required for the audit service and its profession.
They are also criticizing sections of the media for amplifying these audit reports without cross-checking or seeking responses from the institutions involved, deepening public mistrust and harming reputations.
There's more of this on 3news.com, but before we go, there's tension once again between the Civil and Local Government Staff Association CLOCSAG and the Registrar of the Best and Deafest Registry. 30 CLOCSAG members have been transferred, and the association's national leadership is not taking it lightly. Executive Secretary of CLOCSAG, Isaac Bampoado, spoke exclusively to our Labour Affairs correspondent, Daniel Opoko, in Accra.
Acting Registrar of Best and Deafest, the name of Mr. Butcher. And our reason was for the fact that he lacked capacity. He didn't have knowledge when it comes to civil registration. He didn't have the capacity to be a registrar of best and deafest. And also, he was a politically colored person. And per the rules of the civil service, no civil servant must owe his appointment or promotion to partisan activities. So that clearly disqualified Mr. Boju. Now, the issue is still with the employment minister, who is still handling it. And we are waiting for a feedback on what action government is going to take on Mr. Boju. He's gone ahead and now issued transfers and postings to certain staff at the Best and Deafest Registry. But now he has displayed his lack of knowledge of the workings of the civil service. He has exposed himself. You don't have the right to transfer anybody from one service to another service. There are two different institutions. He cannot do that. Postings and transfers, even in the civil service, be done with the collaboration of the chief director. He doesn't know these things. So clearly, it's an illegality. And we've asked our members, nobody should move. You can't do anything to anybody. And we're going to take the matter.
You have asked the member to issue a positive file. It's not to respect.
Yes. In himself, his appointment is an illegality. It's not according to procedure.
How many of the members are?
It's about 30 of them are affected by this illegal proceedings and transfers.
From yesterday till now, has there been any correspondence in terms of discussions to get the issue resolved?
Oh yeah, we've had discussions with the head of service, and we've spoken to our members at best and registry, and asked everybody should be at post. Nobody should move.
If there is an attempt by him to force your members to leave,
he cannot force our members to leave. He cannot. He cannot force them, but everybody should stay put. He hasn't got that right, that authority to transfer them. There are rules and regulations in the civil service and the local government service.
Why do you think, do you have any fear that's why he's transferring?
Or it's victimization. Those people that he perceives to have been more involved in the strike action, is victimizing them, which is even against the labor laws. So we're going to take him on, seriously.
When you say take him, what do you mean? Are you seeking his legal redress?
Both legal and with the head of service and the head of local government service.
You're taking him to court?
Yes. Already, some of our members have taken him to court. Some persons have taken him to court. So there are going to be more legal issues against him. He hasn't got the capacity to be there. He better advise himself.
Now, probably my last question. Look, even this morning, there are those who are believing that the strike that you were backed on some months ago, they didn't see the fruits of the strike as to what exactly happened before you were able to.
What really happened was that the Minister for Employment spoke to us for us to convince our council that we were going to handle the matter and look into it, and pleaded with us to call off the strike. So the matter has not ended. That's the issue.
The matter has not ended?
At all.
He has proceeded to transfer.
Yes. So we are going to meet him good for good.
No, it's covered. It's covered. Are there timelines?
So that's Daniel Oboko in that interaction with Isaac Bampoado, is Executive Secretary of the Civil and Local Government Staff Association, CLOCSAG. That's more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. On behalf of the team, we do appreciate your company. Join me at 10 p.m. on TV3 for Ghana Tonight. My name is Alfred Akrofi. The drive continues. Stay with us.